slow motion for us. I mean, that would be production value. Is beautiful.
Boy, would that be cool?
I'll work
huh?
on that, Scott. Next time we'll get some motion.
Yes, but it was beautiful. A wonderful moment added to today's activities.
Well, it was thanks to Supervisor
Cool
Parks.
stuff.
Thank you. The next item of business is the election of the MAC chair and vice chair. I would say that I didn't get to do much this last year, and I'm willing to be the chair again. Normally we have a two-year term, and so just put it out there. You know, I have no problems being the chair again. And
I second that.
I don't think I can motion myself, but go ahead.
I can. I will motion that Scott be chair again this year.
I second the motion.
Motion by Wendy, second.
Okay, I'll do a roll call. Wendy Zimmerman,
Aye.
Ed Villa,
Aye.
Scott Horn,
Aye.
and now vice chair.
I think it was, Ed is our vice chair at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, whoops. Where'd you go?
We
What?
have a motion for vice chair, please.
Ed, are you willing to serve as vice chair?
Yes, I'll stay as a vice chair if you want to. If I want to, yeah, I will.
Okay, I'll nominate Ed Villa to be the vice chair of the MAC.
I will second that motion.
Wendy Zimmerman,
Aye.
Ed Villa,
Aye.
and Scott Horn.
Aye.
Great.
Roger that. Okay.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll be able to have some meetings in person later in the year. I'm hoping maybe by the 4th of July, we'll have ourselves the possibility of having a real meeting. That's my hopeful prognosis. So we're gonna move on. Approval of the minutes for September 24, 2020. Have everyone had a chance to look at them? And does anyone see any adjustments necessary?
I don't have any comments.
They were pretty darn accurate.
I vote that we approve the minutes for September 24th, 2020.
I'll
I'll
second that.
it.
Wendy. Okay, I'll give it to Wendy. Wendy Zimmerman.
Aye.
Roll call. Ed Villa
Aye.
and Scott Horn.
Aye.
Great.
Then the minutes for September 24, 2020 have been approved. We're going to go on to the agenda review. Looking at this agenda right now, is there any adjustments that we'd like to make in the order of events?
I'm okay with it.
Go ahead, Wendy.
I said I'm
Well,
okay
then
with it.
welcome, we go to item number 6, our public safety reports.
Right.
Who would like to go first?
I'll go ahead and start. I'll be brief. Senior Deputy Shermani, Sheriff's Office, first of John.
Thank you.
Welcome, John.
I guess. Hi, how are you?
All righty. What do you got for us?
So, 20 hours without power, and I'm proud to announce I didn't lose any food to begin with. Very happy. Other than that, I guess it's a good thing. Myself and Captain Ferguson, we really didn't have anything to pass along of significance in the area over this period. Kind of wanted to just see if anybody had any questions for us.
I do.
Okay.
Last night, while I was looking for Wi-Fi and other things to amuse myself while my house was out in the dark and trying to charge things up and so forth, there was a huge law enforcement response at Ralph's, and I think there were probably 8 or 10 versions of patrol cars over there. I couldn't find out what happened. I looked online. Do you know?
What time was this?
Last
what
night,
time?
probably 8:30ish.
Well, I get a report after every 12-hour shift of anything significant, and there was nothing significant on that report for that 12-hour span. So it could have been we had tons of alarm calls, like my CHP partner said, down trees, and the alarm calls were off the hook because of the wind.
No, this
So
was in
that
the
could have
Ralph's.
been what it was.
This was in the Ralph's parking lot. It was definitely something of a criminal nature afoot, because that parking lot would not be that way. And I tried to go around the back because I wanted to pick up some late night tacos at Del Taco, and they wouldn't even let me go around the back for the other way. So everything was all
Really?
cordoned off, and they just turned everybody that was going into that shopping center around.
Yeah, I didn't see anything in we call it the red book.
how
as far
big
as
does
grocery
something have to
stores.
be? Officer, how big does something have to be to make it to the red book? If Wendy's describing a whole parking lot getting cordoned off, sounds kind of more than nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to check with that and get back to you guys. I didn't hear
right.
anything in briefing today. I didn't see anything in the red book.
Okay.
Typically, grocery stores, we have alcohol thefts. That's the major thing we have, theft of a lot of groceries and so forth. But that doesn't usually get a response like you're describing.
No,
I'll have
there
to look
were
into it.
police gate cars.
Okay, if you would be so kind as to look into that, it's always nice to next time we talk, I'm sure in a long time will have
Yeah.
passed, but still.
We get a lot of calls that come out hot, and it demands a big response, and often it turns into nothing. But I'll definitely check and see what occurred.
Thank you.
Cool.
My other concern was with a lot of power out all over the place. I saw, and I had to cross some pretty significant intersections while I was looking for a place to use somebody's Wi-Fi and etc. I saw I saw flashing, blinking red lights, but at some of the bigger intersections, like maybe Hillcrest and Lynn and other things, and like the freeway overpass for coming off the freeway at Wendy for the northbound overpass over by Lowe's and Home Depot side. I saw no traffic control people out whatsoever anywhere.
Well, when we have a event of this magnitude, usually when you have a power outage in an intersection, the deputy will call it in or a citizen will report it. They'll send the city out there. But last night it was, as you know, just about every intersection. They just don't have the resources. Vehicle code states flashing lights or no lights, you're going to treat it as a four-way stop. I know not everybody treats it like that, especially if they're not familiar with the area and they're driving along and it's not lit up. It's just one of those things where we were overwhelmed. Every intersection was out, and we just don't have the manpower to post people at every single intersection.
I wouldn't
So we
expect
hope
it
that
every,
people.
I wouldn't expect it every intersection, but there are some that are so wide, trying to figure out who got when and who should go when they're 2 and 3 lanes wide at each of the different angles and so forth. Everybody was being good about stopping, but trying to figure out whose turn it was to go was a problem at some of the bigger intersections that I had to navigate last night. And it was so dark, you couldn't really see people clearly. And I thought, there's a few places where somebody should have been out there to help traffic get through safely.
I couldn't agree with you more. I went out myself last night scrambling to try to get gasoline for this new generator I bought that I never got up and going. But I found myself rolling down my windows at these intersections. And as you know, first come, first serve gets to go. But, I had to roll down my windows to be assured that people weren't going to run it. It was definitely a scary, scary time. But I will run that by the powers that be and see what we can do in the future, if anything, to, react more efficiently, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, even if you just have a targeted list of some places that people are going to go, because everybody was amazingly polite. The thing is, everybody sat there and nobody went until somebody decided to go, and of course, somebody else decided to go at the same time. So,
Right.
We were exceedingly polite, I am pleased to say, but trying to figure out what was what and see far enough at, the bigger, more complicated pieces was pretty tricky. In a small neighborhood street, it's not a big deal, but we have a few places that weren't that.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. I think everybody was just overwhelmed. We had trees going down all day yesterday, and they didn't have enough city personnel to remove them, so they would just try to scoot it out of the lanes to free up one lane. So you had trees laying everywhere. I don't know what the answer is, but I'll definitely bring it to my captain's attention, see if there's, maybe we can prioritize some major intersections with some
I would just
stop signs or something like that.
having a list that you guys know that when the power goes out in certain sections, you just send somebody over there. It's just a set list.
Yeah, I agree. I know I live in Simi, and I was driving last night, and some intersections had stop signs, but then other bigger intersections that you would consider more dangerous had nothing. So I think it was just not enough resources for what was going on, to be honest.
Okay, all right. One of the questions that I have has to do with the power outage. Do we see in our neighborhood increase in crime during these things, sort of opportunity, or does crime decrease during these sort of things?
Well, again, the red book would have shown any kind of burglaries. I mean, that is the ideal time. I hate to pass on that information, but when the alarm systems are down and lights are out, that's a ideal time to break windows and go in places. Fortunately, it doesn't sound like that happened last night.
Dodged the bullet. Good. Good to hear it.
Yeah. So that's a good thing, I guess.
All right.
Well,
I have
all right.
one, are you done? I'm sorry, go ahead, Scott.
I'm done. You got something else for me?
No, I want to say something to the deputy sheriff is we just recently, about 4 or 5 residents called me and said that there was a homeless male living in Borchard Park by field number 3 and was very obnoxious by yelling at people. So what I'm saying is that every time we or the park called your department, you guys showed up, and I appreciate that because that diffused the situation each time that this guy got crazy. I talked to the sheriffs. They said that they know about the guy and that they will come out, and they do, and they're very good about that. So I want you to thank your department for showing support to our community with this type of situation. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We'll respond anytime. You know, we have a handful of homeless people. We know them by name. We know they're, you know, we feel like they're part of the family because we respond so much to calls for service for them. But our hands get tied with the laws and so forth as far as, you know, what type of enforcement we can do. Pretty much just dissolve the issue going on at that moment, and, you know, hope the next issue doesn't come, you know, anytime soon.
Right. Agreed.
But thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
We also have, thank you, Officer Sharamonte.
All right. You guys have a good evening.
You
Thank
too.
you. We also have Lieutenant Key with this California Highway Patrol.
Lieutenant Key, welcome to our MAC. And what have you got for us today?
Well, just besides wanting to introduce myself, effective on the 1st of January, I became the Moore Park area commander. And now I'll be taking over for now Captain Logie. He's in Santa Barbara, and I'm here. So I happen to live right on the other side of the hill in Camarillo, right off of Santa Rosa Road. So over the last year, I've been working in West Los Angeles, and it feels really good to be back home in my own county. That way I can make a difference in the place that I live in. So I'm really happy to be working with all of you and participate in these meetings and address any of your traffic concerns that I can to make it as safe as possible. And yeah, I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
Welcome back home to the Ventura County area. We really do welcome you back, and hope that you can spend a lot of time with us.
I agree. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So, is there a report from you from this first visit?
You know, I reviewed the meeting minutes from the last meeting, and it looks like there hasn't been any additional collisions in your area. It looks like there's still 3. I noticed that the other traffic concerns look like they might have been mitigated already. If they haven't, maybe you can share with me if they have or have not, and then I can jot those down and see if we can address them.
I did see the car in the ditch on Reno on Christmas Day. I happened to be out riding my bike. I didn't see it happen, but I did see the car in the ditch with the response of pulling it out, and they're talking about the dip on Reno. I personally don't have an issue with Reno. I don't drive it that fast. I think the woman who wound up in the ditch was driving too fast, and that's what had happened. But that is some of the chatter in the neighborhood.
Okay, whereabouts on that? Where's cross street where that dip would be?
She was southbound about a block off of Kimber.
Okay,
I saw it from Kimber and Reno.
okay.
That's city.
There was a fire engine response and a police response, and it doesn't sound like there was any significant injury, but people are complaining about the dip that is there. But I personally have not had an issue with that dip on Reno, either on my bike or driving it. So I have a feeling the lady was just too fast.
Okay. Yeah, my son went to high school in Newberry Park, so I should know that area, but it's been a while. And maybe I'll cruise through there on my way home just to take a look at it and refamiliarize myself with the area. So yeah, just like the deputy said, I will say that the wind has been just crazy for us with the call volume, and I understand your concerns with those traffic, those intersections. It's really alarming, and you're right. How do we pick which ones are the important ones and which are not? And it's just so overwhelming throughout the county with all the intersections. So maybe it's something we can try to address as well, and just have units in the area. But I will say that it is difficult, just to give you the feedback from our perspective. So yeah, be careful of the traffic hazards too. It's a tree fell onto a truck yesterday, and then a truck got blown over, and I think that would be safety, something for you all to consider when you're driving. Just be careful out there with the wind and everything. So that's about all I have. Do you have anything else for me?
Any other information or questions for the CHP?
I'm good for right now. You hit it.
Thank you, Lieutenant
No
Key.
problem. No problem. You guys take care. Be safe.
Take care out there.
Thank you.
All right. You too.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, we move on to item 7, comments of Ventura County Supervisor Linda Parks.
Hello, nice to see everybody, at least virtually. I hope Mr. Gaz is not having trouble trying to get in or something. So something will connect with him, because it would be nice if you could all be on. So things that I can report, we have new board of supervisor members. And it's nice to have fresh blood there. And I'm chair of the board this year, and Supervisor Ramirez is vice chair. We're, as you would guess, very, very busy just dealing with everything COVID related, and then also a little bit dealing with some protests here and there, and then people wanting to get their vaccine, and all those things. It's definitely keeping myself and my staff very busy. So we know that on your MAC, you have 1 seat open. So if you have recommendations on people who might want to fill that and be good, please let us know and we'll contact them directly. Other things, you have that the CBE, the community beautification events that we used to have over at the high school, and we will not be having one this year, but in response, there will be a free day where you can go to the landfill, and also extra curbside bulky items can be picked up. We're working right now with the waste haulers in that area it will be either or, that you'll get the extra curbside pickups or have the free dump day. So that's being worked on, and you will all be informed most likely in the mail. And to find out where you stand in vaccines, you can go to our county. It's Ventura County Recovers.org. And presently, as of last night, probably actually around 4:30, I think they opened it up for senior citizens 75 and older, and it filled up by probably 11 o'clock that evening. And so as more vaccine comes, we'll open up more slots, and then eventually get to the 65 and older, and then into the general population. But currently we can give as many vaccines as we can get. And all the vaccines have been, 93% of the vaccines we had as of yesterday had been put into arms. So that's good news. The bad news is we just can't seem to get enough. And hopefully there will be more attention to distributing it to our states from the federal government, et cetera. So but once we do get our hands on it, our first priority is putting it into arms, looking at going to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if we had enough vaccine. But at this point, that hasn't been necessary, and we are being able to distribute everything that we get in a pretty rapid fashion. I think some 30,000 have been distributed.
Is that only going to be at the fairgrounds?
No, there's actually, the county works with partners. So in Thousand Oaks, it's at the Global Senior Center. That's where you would go to get it from the county. And when you sign up on the county website, that would be your first choice. I know our mayor just went out. She has a 80-something-year-old mom, and she took her mom out to the fairgrounds in Ventura. So it is, you get the appointment you can get, and hopefully you'll be able to do the one that's local. And like I said, right now it's full. And as soon as you go to that website, I'll probably tell you that all the appointments are full. But when it opens, you need to be able to click on and get yourself an appointment.
I've never seen a word on there about the Global Center. I've only seen the fairgrounds and the tent in Oxnard.
Yeah, nope. Take another look. It might, things are evolving also. So I think even today, probably within the last hour, changes have been made to the website. So we're trying to keep up with the demand. There was also some problems with, funny enough, outages. That we lost electricity also, so it was hard to get the systems going. It's just like we're getting blamed for the outages too. Just like looking at these emails, it does keep us busy. People are very frustrated. And understandably so. Businesses are struggling, and people really want to get out there and get their vaccination, and so it's trying to be able, to do everything that we can. And I'm happy for the, good work of our county. And the frustration really comes down to not having enough vaccines. Well, for the businesses, it's been nice that we have been able to provide grant funds to the businesses, and we're going to be doing another round of grants to local small businesses at our next meeting on Tuesday. And then also we have a program called the Great Plates program that has been able to hire restaurants to provide meals so that we can give them to homebound seniors and such. So that we're trying to be creative. We're up for any suggestions too on how we can do better. And I think that concludes my comments. And I'm obviously available for questions here too.
I have a question. Any idea what month you may get down to people under 65 with no underlying conditions? Those of us probably at the end of the line.
Right. I'm in that boat too. And I've got my son's getting married the first week of May, and I'm hoping I'll have been vaccinated by then. So we'll see what happens. It all comes down to the supply. And truthfully, having a new federal administration and Biden, making that his priority, he can do things to see that more vaccines are made and distributed. So hopefully it won't be too far into the spring.
Well, happy wedding.
Yeah.
I will say that some of my old cranks friends who were farther up the list, you have to be over 50 to be an old crank, have reported some success getting appointments at the Vaughn's Pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in the over 75 batch that is currently now eligible. And so some of them are not in the big places that they're having a better shot at, but where those all are, I do not know, but they have said Vaughn's.
Yeah, we definitely have gotten some positives back from people who are able to get appointments. So it'll happen, and it is really kind of that light at the end of the tunnel to see the vaccine starting to roll out, and we know that eventually we won't have this problem. So looking forward to that.
It's happening. My 90-year-old grandma has one this Friday. So happy.
Hey, Linda, Linda, how important is that 75 and over? If you're going to be 75, let's say in April, can you sign up then, or do you have to be 75? If you're 74 now,
I'm pretty sure that when you go to sign up, the sign up is for like in the next few days. So
okay,
you can't sign up for April until probably April.
okay, so you really have to be 75, even though, okay,
Yes,
that's
but
good.
what I think will happen before then is we will open it up to 65 and older.
Okay,
That's the next one. And I imagine that might happen I'm hoping in the next week or two.
all right, wow.
So that's my hope. So I think we're doing it right. I wanted to open it up to 65, earlier, but now that they only did 75, let that fill up and we'll do as many 75s as we can, and then we'll move to 65. And there's
Okay.
some that.
Okay, thank you.
So a question for you about the vaccines. We're talking about the 2-shot thing. So these are the people getting first shots. And then they make their appointment for the second shot. And at this point, we're still working the 2-shot vaccine situation out.
Yeah, they will actually notify you when to come in for your second shot. That's my understanding.
Okay, so I have a question about the time frame. You thought maybe by May you might have had the shot then. So I'll put myself in that same kind of a category then. The question becomes, is that are you anticipating an increased supply from other manufacturers getting approved to make this work out? Because I've heard like Johnson & Johnson is almost ready. Theirs isn't going to have to be refrigerated, and they've already got bazillion doses ready. Is this kind of one of those things you're sort of factoring into that May idea?
Yes, definitely. And I heard at the federal level, there's like 2 others that are about to get approved too. So having more vaccine, whatever that means, is we are definitely anticipating all those that have been promised, and, very disappointed actually that we aren't getting the amount that we wanted, but certainly more to come.
So do you have statistics on our first responders? What percentage of them have taken the shots? Very specifically, Ventura County Fire Department and our sheriffs. Do we have a number of how many percentage-wise have taken the shots?
So in Los Angeles County, the firefighters are the ones that are actually administering it, the vaccination program. So I know it's a lot more important for them. I know of law enforcement that is getting shots now are the ones that work in the jail. So they're being rolled out also. And I have heard that we're not getting the kind of rejection rate that they are having in Los Angeles County. But it is alarming. And when you talk about how much vaccine is out there, when you think about there's a percentage who don't want it, and there's a large percentage who have already gotten COVID who don't need it, so there may be, it all will come out to, I think, speed up the process.
Okay, so getting back to that point there, do we know a percentage of, I mean, are we talking, what is the percentage of firefighters? That's the question, really. How are they trusting it? That's my.
Yeah, I don't know the answer, and I'm not even sure that firefighters are ones getting the shots right now, because EMTs are.
So is it, I guess what I'm getting to is I've heard there may be resistance to getting the shots of the first responders. Do we know about our county nurses? What percentage of them?
Yeah, they're doing really well. We're way up in, I don't know if it's 90 or whatever. It's in certain areas that you are seeing the rejection, but it's not happening like that in Ventura County. But I hear your question. I don't have the figures, but I'm happy to ask and get back to you.
It was just sort of a gut check to see exactly how the people who are on the front line are perceiving the vaccine as a worthwhile tool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard really good things about the rates for nurses and doctors in Ventura County.
Excellent. That's good to hear. Okay.
Question, did the county get a response from Newsom's office to the request to turn us into a 3-county district and get us out of LA? I don't recall hearing a response.
That request was based on, once we're in the red, not the purple tier. And so we're just like, to get into the red tier where, you have to have 7 cases a day. We're, far more than that. So
We were there once upon a time.
we were there once upon a
So
time.
close.
Yeah, we were close, and it's going to be a long time before we get to that question. So it's not something that's a burning, question in anyone's mind. When the time comes, then we will find out, and that time isn't anytime soon.
Okay, so it wasn't conditioned on now, it was conditioned on when we are better as 3 counties, then can we escape the confines of LA and the bigger counties to the south of us that are going to have a much harder time getting this decreased at any rate than we are. So I guess I didn't understand it quite correctly from the get-go. I thought we were trying to get that jurisdiction now, and that when we, improved, we would do that so that we didn't have to wait
I
for
think
LA.
it's like right on the precipice of diving into purple, from
Perfect.
it's not happening.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Parks. We really
Thank you.
appreciate you joining us and giving an update on that. And I know that we're all listening on with bated breath on vaccine information from someone who probably knows all the ins and outs that are going on. So it's good to hear it from one of the real sources. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, we can move on. Council comments on items not on the agenda. Is there anything that our members would like to bring up at this point that is not on the agenda?
Street cleaning schedule.
We're free
Uh,
forming.
do,
No?
do-
Okay.
do we have that yet?
I'm sorry?
Do we have the street cleaning schedule? Because I haven't seen the guy come by in almost a month.
I haven't received it for 2021, but I will follow up and see if I can get that for you. And we'll post it on the website, but I'll also email it.
Okay, okay, perfect.
Thanks, Ed, for
Thank you.
bringing that up, because that is definitely one of those things I get asked about when street cleaning going on. So
Okay.
we'll maybe make that a note for next time. Hopefully it'll be available and we can distribute that. Or if it comes sooner, let me know. I'll make that available.
Yeah, it's kind of an every
Thank
other
you.
week thing. I can't remember whether it was second and fourth or first and third, but I
Yep.
doubt they would really change it. So whatever it is, it probably just continues. I see second and fourth from the coolies.
Okay.
Thank you.
So after the public comments not on the agenda, we're going to move on to the advisory items. Item 10A, the MAC approval of the letter to the Ventura County Transportation Commission about Highway 1 expansion projects.
I can share it on the screen if you need to.
Oh,
That would be
great.
good.
We're having a techie moment here. Go for it here. We love this stuff.
Okay, give me a second. You can talk amongst yourselves while I go
Well,
ahead
so
and get
this was the thing that I brought up when we had that gentleman, Darren, come and give us a report about that, where we talked about the Transportation Commission's goals and what had happened and where it was and what was looking forward to. So then it was kind of like, well, we got some ideas, and I said that I put it into letter form, and then there it is. So I hope you guys have had a chance to read this, and it's a draft. So what do we want to?
I'm going to start with some grammar type stuff, if you don't mind.
I knew you would, and I'm appreciating that.
I'm going to start with the easy stuff, which is the grammar, and then I'm going to get into the hard stuff, but somebody may have a comment before I kind of do that.
So Denise, are you going to be able to adjust this, or am I supposed to do that?
I think Denise will do it.
I put up a PDF, but I have the Word document. I will work, make your changes on the Word doc.
Okay, and I'm going to try and make changes on my draft on paper right here. Go for it, Wendy.
Okay, starting from the top, I would always suggest adding a line, 101 freeway widening project through Newbury Park. When people file things and look for letters, having a ray line helps it pop out of the pile faster and know what to do with it immediately.
Are you suggesting between the date and the person's name, we put that there, or after his name?
It goes in between the address and Dear Mr. Kettle.
Got
That's
it.
where Ray always goes.
Regarding, all right.
So pick a way to tell them so that they know what pile it goes to, what folder it goes into, but it immediately tells them what something is and where to go. So you make everybody's life easier at VCTC.
Okay, what else? Matt?
Next, no ampersands. Ampersands have very limited usage in business writing, so we need to get rid of all the ampersands and use AND.
Where are you seeing that?
There's a bunch of them.
Okay, so changing the ampersands to AND, that's fine.
Yes,
I
that's
do, yes,
business
when I
writing.
draft things, I also use N, just the letter N when I do things too, as well as an ampersand. So that's all right. That's worthwhile. For
No, they're
example,
okay for texting, but they're not okay for casual interpersonal texting, but they're not okay for business. And yes, I am old school, well-trained in business and formal writing. So yeah, I'm a pain in the neck about those things.
okay, okay,
Those were things. One of my concerns I'm going to start with, and Scott, I do want to thank you for putting this together, and you definitely put some significant effort and thought into you. So please don't think I'm tearing you apart for this. But I do appreciate the effort, but this has kind of been one of my pet projects as well. I want to find out whether we are doing this as this is what our board thinks should be done, or we would like them to consider this possibility. I think there's a very big difference between those. And personally, I am not ready to tell VCTC that this is definitely what I want. I have concerns about safety and so forth. So I would pitch it if it was my letter as we want you to think about these possibilities, which may be faster and easier, but I don't know that turning our on and off ramp lanes, I would not call them service lanes. And I looked up service lanes and I couldn't find something that matched for that. So I would call them the on and off ramp lanes. I'm not sure that that's going to be a safe thing because it makes problems for getting in and out of the freeway for slower traffic because people already use those right-hand lanes for passing. So I think there are hazards, but I would be in favor of the idea of asking them to consider the feasibility of making modifications sooner that incorporate what we already have. But I am not ready to say this is what I want. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's where I am at with regards to the, trying to put what we have in the on and off ramp lanes and longer. I know that the widening project is considering having more longer lanes like what we do have in other places where they have very short on and off ramps and it causes too much brake slamming and screws up the freeway. They're actually considering doing that, more of that throughout the length. But I don't think I want to turn our on and off ramp lanes into full flow through traffic lanes.
Oh, I
Well,
see. Okay.
that's the whole premise of the project, is to be able to get a fourth lane built without having all the extra hubbub. And that's why this idea of having the fourth service lane become it. I'd like to point out that in most rest of LA County, the valleys do that. They do this all the time. The service lane is in use as the on-ramp and off-ramp lane to allow for additional freeway through traffic. And they'll also give no quarter on the space between the fast lane and the freeway wall. So we're fortunate now to have a shoulder in that zone. So it's kind of like they've already been doing this all over Southern California's grid. This is a logical extension of that idea because we've got so much traffic. So think about it that way, Wendy, that they're already doing these sort of things in other parts. We're just now catching up to the idea because we're so darn crowded with so much traffic.
I still disagree with it. I would like them to do a feasibility study and see whether it would work with enough safety. But there's a lot of places in LA that are not safely structured on the 101. I do my share of traveling around to the north and the east and the west and through enough different roads and have all my life that I think there are areas on the 101 in the SFV, for example, that are very unsafe when you try to get on and off the freeway. That it's very hard to merge. Moore Park Road, for example, is very hard to go from the 23 onto the 101 and get over safely. I think we've got some issues with, I would want them to study the possibility. That's what I would ask for. I'm not ready to say, this is what I definitely want.
What if you prefaced it with the word safe?
Because I think there are safety issues that need to be studied thoroughly with this, because I feel we've already got some unsafe conditions as it is. I think we can improve things, but I am reluctant to encourage people to do more. Let's go into the far right-hand lane and use it to pass people when people are trying to get on and off of the freeway and they need room to accelerate and decelerate to do that. I have had enough problems with that as a freeway user the way that they are, and I'm concerned that this would actually make that problem even worse. That's my personal concern about it.
Ed, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think what you have here is about right on, because I used to drive down to LA on the 101 and the 405 and all that. You do need to have an on and off, as you call the service lane. People are going to pass on the shoulder, even if there is no shoulder, they'll pass you anyways. So we do need what you write here, and I concur with that.
Well, then- Okay, so if we have then a quorum, can we also have a vote on moving this forward with 2 of the 3 votes in favor of it and not, I'm not sure on parliamentary procedure.
I think we should push it forward.
Okay, I'll motion that we accept this letter as a working document to submit with grammatical changes. And I'm looking for a second.
Yeah, I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I know we've had discussion on it. Wendy, I appreciate your dissent on this, and that's what makes
Yes.
America great, is having alternate opinions on things. We're going to take a vote now. Who would like to forward this letter to the Traffic Commission on behalf of our MAC?
I'll do a roll call. Scott Horn,
Yes.
Wendy Zimmerman,
No,
Ed Via.
Yes.
Motion carries. We'll be adjusting this thing, and I will submit it for grammatical change just before I submit it to the, I'll make it available to our committee and staff before it's submitted to make sure we've got our grammatical issues going. And
Scott? I want to make sure you also understand that the state gets the extra money for HOV lanes. It does not get extra money for this kind of project. This all has to come out of regular funding. I was really not ready for a vote for that. But one of my other points is that you will not get that extra money that you think that you've written this letter that says you will. You will not.
well, yes, you can if they make the 4th outside lane the HOV lane as part of this process.
No,
If
the
there's
state
funding-
has a situation, unless the state has changed it very recently, the state will give you the extra funding for HOV lanes. That's why the proposals for the 101 widening project all included HOV lanes. They do not get the extra money. And he basically told us that in January, and I had it elsewhere at another meeting I went that was specifically focused on this. The state is not giving money for those kinds of things at this time. They will not, this won't get you the extra funding.
Well, we'll see how this goes. We've got to put
But
it to the
your
traffic.
letter says it will, and it won't. At this point, it's a factually incorrect letter. I think, if you modify the letter and we come take another look at it in March, there's ways to fix this, but as written, I'm definitely in the no pile.
Well, we'll move forward with it and work on the grammar, and we'll take a look at those things there. And
Push it forward.
hopefully we can get this thing moving faster. We'll get some fire under the Traffic Commission's butt and get things moving here.
Well, I think it's good to bring them alternative ideas. I think that part is great. But I think it is better to have a factually accurate letter than one that misstates things that are not. That's part of my point. And I don't like being part of something that turns facts into things that you just want, but that are not actually the case in terms of what is out there and what the options are and where the money actually is. I don't think that's to our benefit. I think it's great to show them some creative thinking. But having been involved in this issue for some time now, I don't really want to put forth things in a way that is not accurate with with what's there. I certainly want them to look at more alternatives than they are. I agree with you on that and being creative. I want to see rapid transit. I want to see bike lanes. I want to see a lot of stuff. But and I agree with the thought of using what we have in a more efficient manner. That expressed and that value I agree with, but I want us to be a factually accurate body and use the correct terminology and expression of what it is. I think we will get further with that philosophy than putting forth things that I think your heart's in the right place, but I think some of your statements of fact are a little bit off.
Noted.
Noted.
Um,
You will hopefully also get a response, so that will open up dialogue
Right,
with the Transportation Commission Executive Director.
roger that.
That would be good.
Wendy, here we go. I got the Word doc up. Is this what you were looking for?
I wasn't looking for it specifically. I think the grammatical stuff, 101 freeway improvement project, that works,
And then I just took out all the ampersands.
and changed into ands. Yeah, that's easy stuff.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Check,
You're welcome.
check.
So we move on to item 10B, the MAC approval of the 2021 meeting calendar.
One more. Let me screen share again.
My
One
tape
second.
never ceases. We're loving this.
I know. Okay.
Hey,
One,
it's the 21st century.
I know. Whee! There we go.
There it is.
Now I know I always put our normal May, but I know Wendy comes back and wants to change. So
Yes, please.
I know, but I never know what date it is. So I just put our regular one so that you can.
I know.
Sure.
That's where it starts. And I will know more about the status of the right of silence at our next meeting. But right now, I think there will be something, and it will be May 19th. I don't know what it will be exactly, but May 20th would work for me, or May 18th.
I'm gonna run and get one of my calendars.
Okay. So I do know that we have back-to-back MAC meetings. I have one on Wednesday and Thursday. They're on the same schedule, same cycle as you guys. So Thursday, we will already have a MAC meeting. So
How about Tuesday?
Tuesday are board days for Supervisor Parks. So
Okay.
not knowing exactly what the
How about Wednesday, a week earlier?
so we could do,
What do you have open, Venice? What do you have available?
yeah, well, normally we have, I'm looking at my, I'm pulling up my full max schedule. We have a lot of max happening. Let me see. Desktop. So I know, so Supervisor Parks does have a MAC meeting, a board meeting on the 18th for sure. So the 12th, the week before, we have a SOMAS MAC meeting. So we could do it the following Wednesday, the 26th.
26 is acceptable with my calendar.
That's good for me.
Hang on
So
one
we're gonna
second.
move the May MAC to the 26th.
That's fine.
Let me just really fast look at Supervisor Parks's calendar.
And if you need to, we could confirm it at the next MAC meeting because it's not the immediate next one.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, so even Supervisor Parks's calendar looks open, so we can move it to the 26th.
Sounds
26.
good to me.
So I apologize when I went and got my calendar, did we also confirm that the March one would be March 17th?
Yeah. No, we haven't confirmed it yet, but I think it's good.
Yeah, so the rest of the dates are just your normal third Wednesday of the
Right.
month.
Okay. Are we all gonna be Irish on the
Unfortunately, St.
17th
Patrick's
of
Day
March?
looks not to be as fun as it has been in years past.
Probably not. I don't think so. Okay,
Okay, so.
so there's just the one change in May.
Okay.
Does that look good?
Good.
Yep.
All right,
Excellent.
so if you want
Okay.
Do a motion.
And then July 21st, you want to put a MAC on that day, okay? And then September 15th. That is okay with me. Does September 15th work for everybody?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay,
And the 17th of November.
November 17th, that day's okay also. Is that okay with everyone else?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just writing MAC down because we're not going to determine the times now because we are going to be taking that sort of fluctuating. Is that right, Venice? Okay. That, then I motion that we accept the calendar with the adjustment to May only, to the 26th, for all of the scheduled MAC meetings for the rest of the calendar year.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, Scott Horn. Oh, roll call.
Yes, I approve that.
Wendy Zimmerman,
Yes.
Ed Via.
Yes.
Great.
Okay,
Okay.
we're going to move on quickly, and we want to first welcome one of our members of the community, Cecily Rock, to the MAC. Cecily has emailed us regarding dog waste stations in the Casa Conejo, and we'd like to invite her to talk about it. I'm trusting that all of our members have had a chance to read the email she sent us, as well as the follow-up pricing guide. So, Cecily, welcome.
Hello, thank you guys.
Hi, Cecily.
Hello.
So, tell us your experience. How long ago did you draft this letter?
It was probably in September or October. I've been kind of sitting on it a little bit, walking around the neighborhood, looking at, if it does come into play, like what would be the best spots, looking and doing a lot of research, a lot of backside research on like why dog waste is harmful, and like trying to get down to the nitty gritty of and finding actual scientific evidence-based articles, not just things that people write just because and don't have any proof of it. So ones that were backed in by scientific evidence and proofread by others, just to kind of get the why of like why that it is harmful to others in the environment.
Well, thank you. I think we can all agree that this is something we're concerned about and that we would like to look into. Can I ask some fact-finding questions from our staff? Do we have these sort of things anywhere in the county? Are there any kind of existing situations that already sort of answer this question and are involved with by county? We know about this or not?
Is that to me?
Supervisor, did you want to talk about Oak Park?
Well, I guess, Venice, the question is for you or for the supervisor.
Okay.
Does something like this exist? Waste stations that are partly funded or brought through by the county?
No. The county is an unusual overseer of residential areas. It's not like a city where the city has all these extra services that they provide. When it comes to the unincorporated county, those services have to be paid for. So even like street sweeping, right? Casa Conejo pays a fee to get their streets swept. People out in Santa Rosa Valley don't want to pay the fee. They don't get their streets swept. It's just, it all comes down to finding this one, the revenue source, and then second, the entity that will oversee it. So we just went through a process. I'm embarrassed to say how long it took and how many hours of staff labor to just come up with a process to put some trash cans on Keenan Road and Oak Park, which aren't there yet, but they should be. And to do that, we found a grant that paid for it. We found a location that isn't in the right of way. With the approval of homeowner associations, we found made an arrangement so that the trash company would come and do it empty these trash cans. So just watching how that happened was pretty amazing. So in Casa Conejo, you don't have a revenue source, right? You don't have grant funds. It might be something we could look at. Maybe there's because it's not a big thing in terms of expenses, but you may, it will come down to finding a place to actually stick a trash can, you can put the posts up, and then finding an entity to have it emptied. If there was a, like an apartment building and, they own the land and, it's already managed, and they're willing to, pay for a trash can, it'd be something like that, working out a private partnership to do something like that. But the county isn't one to just go out there and do it because of all those reasons. They need to have someone oversee it, someone to, pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have an actual park in Casa Conejo. If we had a park that needed one, I would say yes. And someday if we ever get the creek path that Supervisor and Parks and I have been trying to get along the creek bed that goes parallel to Michael, then certainly I would love to see, dog pickup, mutt mitts and stations along through there. And that would be a really appropriate place for it.
Right.
But I can't think of any place.
There's the school, in the school grounds, so maybe that, there's something with that, but it's still, it's difficult to just put in neighborhoods unless it's on someone's property and there's someone to oversee it and pay for it.
I agree
Okay.
with Cecily that we have a mess and people leave their, doggy bags and stuff all over the place and it drives me nuts. I've had to pick them up from my yard and I have cats. But so I understand there's a litter problem. If there was a way that we could enforce some of the litter laws a little better, that would be awesome. But I just don't know where we would put a mutt station because we're just regular neighborhood.
Yeah, we also have trash cans also in Oak Park associated with transit stops. So there's a bench and a trash can and a shelter, for the bench. Is there anything on Wendy where the bus stops? Yeah.
There's one by the high school.
By the high school is right.
But the high school is city. The high school is city of TO. It's not here in Casa Conejo. We're just all a bunch of houses and residential streets is what Casa Conejo is. I mean, we don't even have a pocket park in Casa Conejo. So it kind of puts us in a little different situation, though. I certainly sympathize with the wanting to see the appropriate disposal of animal waste.
Okay, so we're looking at working, if we agree as a group that this is something to look into, we don't see any help from the county. We're looking at having to first find a locations where we can officially get trash cans and then looking for private partnerships. Is that kind of like our little to-do list on this if we were to?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that there might be some grants out there I could help on. But that those other two things, it's like operation and maintenance or something, that's the hard one. And even after we got the money for the trash cans, okay, to where to locate them, they have a landscape business that gets paid for through their property taxes. And they agreed to wash the cans once a month because you can't just have cans sitting there and not have them cleaned off. So I cannot believe it. If I see one more email about trash cans, because this thing has taken so much time and effort, but I think we'll be successful there. But there is that issue too, is who's gonna, apparently you need to get these trash cans cleaned occasionally, so, I don't know if this is something like the graffiti management, the grit team wants to do, they could, okay, well, we'll take care of the trash cans and wash them once a quarter or something like that. Then it just comes down to, well, we can get money for it. Then you say, well, where is it going to be located? And, it can't block the right of way or where, people walk on the sidewalk. And so it's just like this whole, a lot of thought has to go into something that is so simple, right? Give us a trash can to put our dog waste in.
Well,
Yeah, I tried to do as much research as I could. It's kind of hard since there was nothing specific for our area on it yet, but just other areas. But yeah, reading into the HOAs, and we don't have that over here. So that's why I was thinking maybe like Borchard Park or the high schools, but if that's different than Casa Conejo, then
Those are all under different management. The parks are under Conejo Valley, CRPD, and the schools are under the school district, and none of them happen to be us. It's just kind of the way we are. But I think, I appreciate the
Yeah.
effort you've put
Here-
out
here-
there.
This is another, again, this actually should be a college paper or something. They actually did a waste study of trash, because it all started actually with two kids, studying this. I think they were maybe sixth graders or something like that. They came up with the idea. So the county wanted them to do a trash audit. And so one of the MAC members volunteered to do the trash audit, walked up and down, wrote down every piece of trash, what it was and where she found it. I can't believe they did all that, just to show that, yes, there is a need for this trash can. So it is mind-boggling to me how much effort has gone into that. But so when this idea about let's get some trash cans in Casa Conejo, I was like, oh no, I don't know how we, it needs to be done. Someone in the private sector, I think, needs to step up, or you put it on a, the school property or the park property. And like you say, the park isn't even in Casa Conejo, but you do have Walnut School, maybe over by the flood control channel that's on Wendy. Maybe there's some area there that they could stick it, on the outside of the fence, but then, you don't want to block off the fence. So that, we could try, we could ask the Watershed Protection District if they have interest, but again, they'll want funding, they'll need someone to clean the cans, it's that whole thing.
Yeah, I think if we get the formal pathway along there, then there will be a need and a service and a maintenance system for it. We're just a little bit premature that way. At least I keep hoping that's all we are premature on, that it will happen someday.
Yeah,
but I think there is a problem, and I tried to pick up the trash in Casa Conejo Day going, and that didn't work. Although I have personally walked, and I did the beach walk, the beach coast cleanup day that we cleaned up all the trash along the flood control channel, and the amount of stuff and what there was really phenomenal. And a lot of stuff is just blown back in there. I took a walk through the neighborhood yesterday to see what was happening and found down trees and trash that flew. And I had trash from my neighbors. It was trash pickup on my street yesterday. So I had trash in my backyard from 3 houses down the street. The winds were so bad. And, so we have a lot of trash pickup to do right now to just, get ourselves back to normal. But it's really kind of been a little bit, everybody kind of has to watch after their own blocks and things. And unfortunately, some of us have to throw away other people's dog poop. I just did that the other day. And right now the kids aren't walking back and forth to school. So I'm not getting all their McDonald's cups and paper wrappers and things, because they walk home from the high school and the schools and they finish their stuff about the time they get to my house. So I've kind of actually been going, I like this homeschooling. It cuts down on my yard cleanup. But I know eventually they will go back to walking back and forth to school and throwing their wrappers and other stuff around the neighborhood. So I think it was great that you went through the thing of, pricing the stations and all the research. I think it was a really thoughtfully put together presentation. So please stay active in the community.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Cecily, one of the things that was brought up that you may not be aware of, we do have a gang graffiti intervention program that Ed, one of our members, oversees. And basically, this is where we find out where every graffiti shows up in Newbury Park, and we eradicate it immediately. And this is sort of like an internal process that we take upon ourselves. And Ed, who's running the show with this, and that the idea of getting rid of graffiti is so important that we've made this a priority and have this happen. I don't have a problem with us looking into adding trash cans and or waste cans as an idea. We would have to add it to our agenda as an item to look into closer, and to have the two main points Supervisor Parks brought up, location where we could have it, and funding. Maybe there's funding grants or things like this. So what I'd like to do is, once again, thank you very much for bringing this forward. I would be willing to work with you to look into this, and depending on how much energy you want to put into it, we can create a, what is it, a subcommittee? Is that what it is? A dog waste subcommittee that would potentially look at these things and
You can put it on your resume.
Oh yeah. Okay. But it's something that I think we'll add to the next month's agenda, 2 months agenda, and we'll see if we have any more information about those two primary elements. And it's as you can see, Cicely, it's a big uphill battle to get this stuff going. So it's a worthwhile goal, but it's going to take a time. So if you're willing to more than just hand off a letter and be involved a bit more, we would love to have more participation in this. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm definitely willing. Me and my sister, we walked around the neighborhood and we spent about a good hour just on like a quarter mile, just trying to figure out like, oh no, that's two in front of someone's house, and oh, maybe that could be put there. And should we go around and ask people if this is something they would want to sign a petition for? Like, do we even need that? And just definitely trying to think of a lot of different possibilities, just because I know that we have a lot of foot traffic on our street just from the park, and I've definitely seen people and given people bags and picked up other people's and thrown away their bags and opened my trash can to other people as well. So I know it's definitely an issue that, yeah, I'm definitely willing to.
Now, while we're on
It
this
might be
subject,
something that the elementary schools would be willing to post something, and then their janitorial could dump the trash from the doggy dump into their school dumpsters, because we have Earth's Magnet School and Walnut Elementary, and we do have some schools, but maybe the PTAs or the scouts at the schools or things, that might be a way to get a little, a few stations out and around that would be with an entity that could look after them, or a local church or whatever might be willing to sponsor one. And that way they have people that empty their trashes, and the trash from there could go into their regular trash, because they're staffed with people who could do that.
all right, I think we've gotten a good, healthy discussion on dog poop and trash in our neighborhood. So let's add this to our agenda for the next time, and I'll be in touch with you, Cecily. We'll see, what kind of funding mechanisms there are, and maybe we'll get the map out and put a few target locations for trash cans and just see what the possibilities are. Start this long ball rolling up a hill.
Hey, I wonder if she'd be interested in becoming part of the MAC Council.
I was thinking that too.
Well, there
She's
it
a
is.
good
We've got
activist.
an opportunity for you, Cecily. You could join this governing board of the Casa Conejo neighborhood very easily. There doesn't appear to be any competition now. So
And it
That's bad.
And it is good for your resume, quite frankly.
yes. Yeah.
The volunteer job.
So the commitment, as you saw, is once a month, every 2 months on a Wednesday night, essentially. When things get back to normal, it'll meet over at Walnut Elementary School. And, it feels good to be part of your community and helping out. And if that's something in the future, we'll know.
Yeah, you guys have my email, so you can always send me information. But yeah, I'm willing to participate and be part of the community more and help.
Wonderful. We
Thank
welcome you.
Cecily,
And,
that's so wonderful to hear.
it's great to have someone involved in the thing, and that was one of the things that I was so worried about the MAC meetings on our Zoom, is that we would lose our community. It's one thing to have 50 people show up at the thing. It'd be great if we could come up with a way to get 50 people on our Zoom meetings. So that becomes my next item to the agenda, knowing darn well that we're going to have at least 2 more meetings that are going to be Zoom. I want to figure out a way that we can get a lot more people on the Zoom meeting. I'm open to suggestions.
Do you post on nextdoor.com, Scott?
There we go. That'll be on there.
When I was chairman, I used to post, but I'm happy to give you that chore.
Okay. I'll take that
No,
on.
no, don't be so.
And
I'll take
Ed
it on
used
my
to
watch.
put out all the signs in the neighborhood, but the neighborhood signs are not appropriate for our Zoom meeting, so we've lost our neighborhood signs, but that's what we used to do. But it doesn't really work that way for Zoom.
True.
I
How
wonder
is
on the
participation at your other place, at your other Macs, Zoom wise?
Yeah. I would just say, every once in a while, though, we do a mailing, and that's a possibility too. If there was something, else, maybe we could add it to that, information that there's MAC meetings and where you can attend them.
Yeah, usually if we have a hot issue, then that's the one that people will show up for, like when we did the Wendy Drive zoning thing or whatever. If there's a hot button in the neighborhood chatter, and
Yep,
we've had,
that's true.
guest speakers for coyotes and various things. So sometimes we draw better for our meetings if we have somebody that people want to come here. We
Okay.
could actually have Harrison as a speaker, the trash company.
That's
That'd
not
be
a bad
good.
idea. That's not a bad idea. Do we have ability to ask a Harrison disposal person to speak at our things?
Sure.
I can add.
Then-
I can
Bye.
always.
I think that's a good idea. Why don't, Venice, would you offer an invitation to a representative from Harrison Disposal to come to one of our future MAC meetings?
And what would the topic be?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What would you want them to talk about?
Recycling could be one.
Yeah,
How to
it could
put
be
your
an
trash
updated.
cans out at the curb even, because people put them all kitsy. Well, yesterday I loaded everything into one so it wouldn't blow every which way, and set it out at the curb backwards of the way I normally do so that it would stop blowing apart and doing that. That
Well,
was
you-
my wind defense, but
As time goes on, I mean, we've got time. So if you come up with ideas for your meeting, don't hesitate to let Venice know and we can put that in. And also in Oak Park, their MAC has an honorary seat, if you will, for a student at the high school. So I do like the idea of having some youth on your MAC. It can bring you new information about what the schools are doing and such too.
That is an excellent idea. I will contact Newbury Park High School tomorrow and ask to speak to student government or whoever handles that thing. That's a great idea. Excellent idea. Okay,
Good.
so
Perfect.
I think we can move on. We'd say thank you again, Cecily, for joining us. We'll be in contact. And thank you for joining us here.
Thank you guys. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Nice
Thank
meeting
you.
you.
Nice to meet you guys. Thank you. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
We're going to move on to item number 12, future agenda items. Besides adding our trash can feasibility idea to the future, and is there any other future agenda items we need to add?
You might
Well,
have
what-
a follow-up from your letter that you're sending to the Transportation Commission, so we can have that on there if they do, if they reply.
Okay,
I
okay,
imagine so.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, could we possibly get the park service back again? Because recently up by Lynn Road and Wendy and down here by Reno and Borchard, there's been some owls that have been found bleeding from eating prey that had been poisoned.
Oh.
So it would be, and so there's not much they can do when they're at that point of the poisoning stage. If there's a way we could get them to come back and maybe talk about other alternative methods besides poisoning. I've noticed that a lot of people in talking about the other raptors, that usually are around but are not around now. And I'm thinking, are they eating these rats that have been poisoned? So maybe there's a possibility we get them back to talk about that.
Yeah,
Just-
there was a law just recently passed that tightened up the use of anticoagulant rodenticides to make it even more difficult. But the Watershed Protection District, you've got that going right through, Casa Conejo. And they have been trying to, go to safer rodenticides, or well, actually safer ways of getting rid of rodents, and have done some good experiments out there too that have been effective. But that I don't know if that's really, we
Okay,
can get a report from them, but I don't know if it's merits having them come and talk, but let us reach out to them.
I think we have had rodenticide people. what would really be interesting is somebody who can come and demonstrate, for example, how to set your snap traps and where they go. I use snap traps at my house, and they do get the little varmints. But how to use the alternative forms of things. I know, Linda, sorry. But, you know, part of it is I think people don't understand how some of these things work that are alternatives to rodenticides, and like where to set them and how to set them, and to use some of these things that don't kill the other animals in the environment. Sort of a how-to on alternatives would actually be interesting, not just don't use rodenticides.
Check.
Definitely a concern, I know.
I know rat traps are, you have to be really careful with those snap traps and watch your fingers, not for the kitties.
Absolutely. Do we have any other future agenda items that we want to add? Or are we at the end of our allotted
I'm
time
good.
here?
Okay.
I'm good.
Well, adjournment time.
All right.
We're gonna adjourn our meeting at 5:46 and reconvene in 2 months.
All right.
Thank you all.
Take care out there.
Nice
Thank
seeing
you.
you all.
Bye, everybody.